So now in the last two examples, we were able to multiply and end up with fractions in lowest terms. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we will multiply and we will have to reduce our answers into lowest terms. But there is a little trick that we can do to make our lives easier, because sometimes it is possible to simplify our multiplication expression before we actually carry out the multiplying. So we'll get the right answer though if we multiply first and then worry about simplifying later. So if we consider the multiplication fraction 3/5 times 5 over 2. Well, the multiplication rule says you multiply 3 times 5, the numerators, and 5 times 2, the denominators. Neither of these multiplications are terribly difficult, and we wouldn't get huge numbers, so it wouldn't be too hard to reduce. However, 5 divided by 5 is 1. I have a 5 on top and a 5 on the bottom. Remember, this line means to divide. So I can do the 5 divided by 5 to give me 1, which means I don't really have to do it. I don't need to multiply by 5 and then divide by 5, so I would end up with 3 over 2. Convert this improper fraction into a mixed fraction. 2 goes into 3 once, with 1 left over. My denominator stays 2. Another way would have been just to say, no, multiplication rule says multiply tops, 3 times 5 to give me 15, multiply bottoms, 5 times 2 to give me 10, but then we would have to reduce it into lowest terms by taking 15 divided by 5 to give me 3, and the 10 divided by 5 to give me 2, which again is 1 and 1/2. So don't feel like you always have to simplify before multiplying, but it will make your life easier, especially when we deal with larger numbers. Let's take a look at the next example. 7/3 times 3/7. Multiplication rule says 7 times 3, 3 times 7. But remember, this line means to divide. 3 divided by 3 equals 1. I have a 3 on top and a 3 on the bottom. Don't need to multiply and then divide, same as multiplying by 1. But I also have 7 divided by 7. 7 on top, 7 on the bottom. I don't actually have to go through the motions of doing it. Everything cancels out, so I have 1 times 1 over 1 times 1. So the answer is 1 over 1, or just plain 1. Now, if you said, no, you know what? Multiplication rule says to multiply. 7 times 3, 21. 3 times 7, 21. Oh, 21 over 21, or 21 divided by 21, is 1. You would still get the right answer. Okay, so now let's look at the example, 3 over 7 times 14 over 15. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. We don't have the same number top and bottom that we can cancel out like we did in the previous examples, but we do have divisions that will work. So instead of writing 14, I'm going to write 7 times 2. Instead of writing 15, I'm going to write 5 times 3, because now by doing that, 3 on top, 3 on the bottom, equals 1. 7 on top, 7 on the bottom, equals 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 times 1 is 5. So the answer is 2/5. Or you could have done 3 times 14 is 42. 7 times 15 is 105. Divide both by 21. 42 divided by 21 gives me 2. And 105 divided by 21 gives me 5. Now you can see where this has the advantage of we're working with smaller numbers, or numbers that we're more familiar with. Finding the greatest common factor here of 21 might take a little bit of work, or you might do a couple of steps in order to get down to 2/5.